And we are live, guys. This is what? Tuesday, August 4th. Welcome to the Instantly Show, the daily show on AI go to market and the strategy is driving real revenue growth. Look, today is a special episode. The reason being is because we're going to have two things. We're going to have two guests. The guests are going to be a bit different because the first up is Hendrik Oyama, co-founder and CEO of Jungler AI, which finds your warmest leads from the engagement. He grew Jungler to $1 million ARR in under 12 months with a team of just 3, almost entirely of organic LinkedIn content and cold email. Now, we're going to talk about the strategies that he's using, his startup, his takes on AI SDRs and signals and all this jazz. Now, then we're going to have Ammad, who is going to show us the actual set of Claude skills he uses to get cold outbound campaigns up and running. So if I open up the lineup, this is what you can see. Actually, no, this one was not updated. So, but I think you got the idea. But first, we have a few news to cover. Before I do that, like and subscribe. We are streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. Down in the description, you will see a coupon code to get the 10% off your first Instantly purchase. On top of that, if you're watching live, please post your questions in the chat wherever you watch on LinkedIn, X, or YouTube, and then we will ask these questions to our guests. So this is your chance. There's a company called Obsidian Security. They just raised 85 million, valuating them at $1.1 billion. And just to be clear, this is not the Obsidian, the note-taker app that got very popular as a second brain for you, especially with all this Claude code hype. They protect companies from the risk of AI agents running loose inside their systems, agents that now have access to customer records, source code, and other sensitive data. And it's funny. I think within this current era, it's a very easy pitch because we've been reviewing the news where OpenAI agent hugged Hugging Face, and then Claude kind of said that their agents didn't hold into the testing environment, went out, and then kind of like got into the systems of like 3 other companies. So it's like, I mean, it's a good way to say, yo, there are the big labs are admitting that they can hold their own agents. So you really need the security, and this is why we're raising money. Meme of the day, this is you guys, I'm pretty sure, or most of us, the daily routine with the Claude code, especially like, and I find this funny because like when you're working with something like Cursor that where you always need to, approve the different actions. It's just like Claude is trying to do something and then you're like, yo, what is going on? Let me approve your actions and all this jazz. So the drop is Google just gave their AI agent Gemini Spark a new ability. It can now use Chrome's auto browse feature to handle actual work online for you. With your permission, it can use account you've already logged into to do the things like scheduling a viewing for an apartment you see it, or research flights and start the actual booking process. It's not just answering questions anymore. What is interesting is, remember, we've been reviewing the news from OpenAI, the browser that they decided to not proceed, their internal browser. And it's just to show you that, obviously, when it comes to a browser experience, people are very used to their current workflows. So most people use Chrome. And this is why when you're building a completely new thing, so first you need to make people use your browser the same way as they use theirs, and on top of that add the features. So this is like a breaking of the workflow, which usually is not a good idea. Now, OpenAI and Apple. So they are getting sued, and Apple is asking a judge to block OpenAI and two former Apple employees from using a sharing anything they call confidential as their trade secrets lawsuit moves forward. Here's how this started. Apple sent OpenAI a warning letter back in February, raising concerns and says they never got a response. So in July, Apple sued, accusing two former employees, an electrical engineer and a former VP of product design for iPhone and Apple Watch, of stealing confidential files and coaching new hires on how to avoid getting caught. One of the wildest claims, Apple says a former employee used a colleague's old laptop to pull dozens of confidential files, including details on unreleased products, and even gave that colleague advice on how to copy files without tripping Apple's security system. And again, on what adds fuel to the fire is OpenAI. There's like rumors of OpenAI releasing the new physical product, like their first physical product, which could potentially be like a speaker that's going to be competing with HomePod. Just yeah, interesting. I mean, it's moving. So we'll see how this settles, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna take a few more months. There is a tweet going around from Thibaut, that's getting a lot of attention, and he said, quote, given some of the results I'm seeing recently, it's pretty clear Codex is good harness, but it will seem primitive in 2 to 3 months, and we're about to go through another major evolution in how we use AI at the frontier. The next generation of models need more than your laptop. Look, I'll be honest, I don't know. Like, do we need it? Like, do we need it, guys? You tell me. Like, do we really need another evolution? It's gonna happen. Like, the progress is inevitable and all this jazz. But we just started. We just started to use like Codex, Claude code, like optimizing the workflows, and now the guys are telling us that there's gonna be a new evolution. So I don't know. I think that the mode is in the actual implementation, and this is why guys like Anthropic and OpenAI investing heavily into their departments that are responsible for implementing these things to the companies. Of course, they are focusing on the enterprise clients. So if you've been looking to get into the service-based space, this is a great opportunity. Now, of course, you need to be very cautious. I've been in the space for over 3 years, where you're going to deploy your time, capital, and the resources, because you don't want to compete with the Claude code itself that can do the job for the business, but rather teaching them how to use it. And again, this is something to talk about. Let me know if you have questions. I would want to share my opinion at the end of this show. Bending Spoons just agreed to buy Airtable for a deal worth about 2.25 billion in equity value. On the surface, this sounds like a huge exit, but the real story is how far Airtable actually felt to get here. So back in September 2021, Airtable raised money at an 11.7 billion valuation, near the peak of the software funding boom. This deal values them at a fraction of that. One report called it 88% markdown from their peak. Now, of course, Airtable has a real scale. Over 500,000 organizations use it, including 80% of the Fortune 100. I remember the Airtable boom. I remember when they were releasing the features like crazy and everyone's using them. And especially after the GPT got released, people were using it as a database for the Node and Vibe coders. But something went off, right? This is what happens with the big software companies. Monday.com experienced a very similar thing even though they quickly transitioned into the AI agent first environment and doing some things there. But for the companies that are not AI first, AI native, it is just harder. Now, let me see if Hendrik is joining us. Today, joining me, the Hendrik Oyama, co-founder and CEO of Jungler. It's a tool that finds warm leads from the engagement signals, basically catching your ideal customer profile at the moment they raise their hand. He grew it to $1 million ARR in under 12 months with a team of just 3. He did it with a cold email and some of the funniest content on B2B LinkedIn. Hendrik, welcome to the show. Can you hear me? Can you see me? One sec. Give me a moment. I just want to make sure that people will be also able to look at your face. Okay. One sec. Guys, we are live, so please do not click off. We have a little nuance here. Okay, I figured it out. Wait. Okay. Trying to align you to the screen so that it doesn't look ridiculously bad. Okay. This seems to be working. Okay. Hendrik, welcome to the show. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
I can hear and see you well. Thanks for having me on.
All good, all good. So you basically became a comedian who sells the software. So was it a specific strategy that you've been planning out, or was it just naturally you being funny?
Didn't expect this to happen, to be honest. When starting to build the company, to be announced this way as the comedian who built the software. So no, it wasn't planned from the get go, but it also wasn't a coincidence. So that what led me to build this persona uh, was a random post about me going viral on LinkedIn,
Okay.
which really made me and my startup go viral on LinkedIn as well. Post by Matt Firestone. Many in the GTM space on LinkedIn know the guy, obviously. And then it showed me that if this post got me 100 signups essentially overnight from a LinkedIn post, it proved me that I need to use this channel myself as well. From that point on, it wasn't a coincidence, but that was the motivation essentially.
Let me ask you this question. When you're starting to build a startup, you've, let's say, found a product market fit. Do you believe that a LinkedIn content solo can be a good driver of the signups for you to find the traction, to get the revenue, and go from there? Or when you're starting out from scratch, you believe that you still need to pair it with some sort of proactive outreach or engagement?
I would say that the single channel is usually not a good strategy overall. So there's nuance to every go-to-market plan. Every company is different. That's what I always say, but I can share my own example.
Yeah.
So we mostly rely on organic LinkedIn content, both content from me, my co-founders, and influencers. But secondly, equally important, we could say, is indeed cold outreach, both at scale and using the signals, well, that we, Jungler, the startup, provide. So I would say in our case, the share is 50-50. And to be quite honest with you, it's really a matter of scaling. So we're constantly evaluating more and more channels to add to the mix. That's why, for instance, when you take Instantly's own origin stories, they relied heavily on cold email themselves. Everyone now knows you have paid media in the mix, for instance, as well.
Everyone who is watching live right now, we're streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. We're continuing with Hendrik, and then he's gonna be giving us a walkthrough of the system that he built where we can learn from. Hendrik, do you believe that the signals can be a solo way for you to run the outbound campaigns, or this mostly an add-on to the bigger, larger campaigns that you would run? Let me clarify what I mean is usually by the signals that we all hear about, it's harder to get a large pool of leads, right? So they are high intent, but they're smaller in volume. Do you believe that a campaign can be sustainable from signals only, or you would add something on top of it?
Usually, in most cases, I'm generalizing,
Yeah.
but exactly so. Signals by themselves, you simply cannot generate a big enough volume of signals so that you could entirely rely on them in your outbound. The number of contacts, the number of people that hear from you is simply too small. So, how we run it is a good example of this. So, we first see if we can find signals for any of the ICPs that we have in our contact list, in our TEM, we could say. If we do, we message them based on that signal. And whenever new signals surface, like that's the same what we do with our own signals, which come from engagement data, right? But important part here is if we do not find the signal, every single ICP that we have in our contact list gets emailed still every 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we still make sure the messaging is relevant, like yada yada yada, all of the basic best practices, right? And we've tested the copy rigorously and personalized to some extent also at scale. But if we do not find a signal, a contact gets messaged still every 60 days. Shout out to Taylor Heron, who first shared this framework to the wider audience.
We talk a lot about the signals on this show with different people, and I always try to find a better predictable way to get people to the pipeline based on the signals or the intents. So you are specializing in the engagement signals, whenever someone engages with something. And correct me if I'm wrong, but usually this means engaging with a piece of content. The content by nature is relying on the algorithm, which you cannot predict. So, yes, you can master the content, but you're still relying on the third party. So, the question here is, have you thought, considered, or tested a way where you post content, then you drive ads to this content? So you're maybe using this content as a promo material, you're boosting the post, and people who are engaging with it then are getting in the pipeline.
Yeah, you're referring to thought leadership ads, probably on LinkedIn. We haven't tested it out ourselves. Again, simply due to having to prioritize which channels we use. But I would say this. The more people have seen and heard from you before they get an email from you, the better. So that applies to organic content that I create and our influencers create on LinkedIn. But exactly the same thing is with sponsored posts on LinkedIn, or when you run paid media, or when you appear on a podcast, for that matter.
Like
right?
here, for example.
For example.
Yeah.
So those help with every stage of the funnel and amplify all other growth channels. Um, so the logic is the same on that end. It really does support cold email as well, although hard to attribute really statistically. Right, you can't really link the two together. How the conversions improve thanks to brand awareness, for instance.
How old is Jungler?
Jungler is a bit older than a year,
Hmm.
but an important step was at the change of the year, just at the beginning of 2026. We had quite a bit of a pivot happen at the time, and since then, we really started growing faster than before.
Can you promise me to answer this question honestly? Because if not, I'm just gonna not ask it.
You can ask the question, and then I will tell you.
Okay. Look, why now? Why there are so many startups that are trying to master the signal and intent based marketing? And maybe this is my perception, but again, we see a lot of people on this show talk about the signals, the agencies trying to master it, the softwares are popping up, other startups are raising capital, you are in this space. Like, and this been happening for the past 12 months, again, from my perspective. Why is that? What was the trigger that made it obvious that like this is the path going forward?
The thing is, like everyone knows, signal providers that have recently been acqui-hired or went out of business, which really signals failure. Those VC-backed companies like Warmly, Common Room, many more that recently got acqui-hired. So it is a tough and competitive space. So it's a good question, and now I can promise to answer this honestly. What we think about it at Jungler. So the thing with signals is that it's super difficult to make them operational. So what I mean by this is that signals per company are first super different,
Hmm.
and then the way you use those signals is also difficult. In contrast to, let's say, an email sequencer, the way people send emails and use instantly, uh, that's really replicable at scale. Signals, not so much. Um, why we differ, why we think we differ, and that we've grown since the start of this year, is that we managed to take one part of the signal, wrap it up really tightly, in meaning that you can't really go wrong, and
Hmm.
make it really so simple that for folks that do want to monitor their ICP engaging with relevant content, competitors themselves, or thought leaders, they really have to have one input. And in our case, it's the profile link, uh, and they can get the outcome. Similar thing with website intent. Also quite simple to make operational. That's why our B2B is doing really well too.
It's a good answer. Look, it's a good answer, and I think this is a complex question. This is why I have prepared you in advance, and I like what you're saying, which is basically signal needs to be interpreted correctly to then understand how to utilize that. So, not just the messaging that you would send, but also even the channel that you would send it to, right? So, some signals are better for for LinkedIn DMs, some are better for the emails. And by the way, I have a friend, he's running an agency. They are doing the cold calling based on the signals, right? Because they're targeting a very strong ones, and it's a very, very good opener. Look, Can you tell us what have you prepared? And I will make sure that when you share your screen right now, people can also see it.
Sure thing. So it's really tied to the introduction. So I'll share the background of how I started to create content myself, how I reached those 7+ million impressions since the beginning of the year.
Okay.
What was my rationale?
Can you share the screen, please?
Yep,
So, okay,
sharing it
yeah,
just now.
I can see it. Let me make sure that people can also see it. 1 second. Okay, I think. Wait. Okay, so we are good right now. We can see your screen. We can see your content performance going parabolic.
Perfect. Yes, charts going up. That's what people love. So I'll share the background, how I reached this, how I approached this. As as I mentioned before, it was both an accident and a strategy at the same time. Uh, First, I'll start off like, what's the point of this?
Yeah.
Are impressions a vanity metric? Why should anyone even care? Why did I invest my time into this? Uh, Impressions by themselves mean nothing, but what they mean to me is that I try to create content in a way that I can discuss as well, that it drives free trial signups for my startup.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the only and single end goal that I have with my content. It's actually not only free trial signups. There are more nice bonuses apart from this, whether it's fundraising, hiring, partnerships, just random cool opportunities have risen from this. Also, probably the reason why I'm on this show now.
Because of the content, by the way. Yeah. So
With you, so case in point. And but really, to focus the purpose here, it was really signups. So I'll share what prompted me to do this and what was my considerations. So maybe others can make either start creating content that's prolific and performs well, or shape the way you make content now at this point. Because as you can see on the screen, I essentially hadn't made a single LinkedIn post until the beginning of this year. So it really went from 0 to 7 million. And that shows you don't need to have any background in this at all, essentially. So let me jump to a post that made it happen in the first place. I hope you can see the post here now on the screen as well.
just so that I know, basically, this is the post that you were referring to before that made you commit to doing content full time, right?
Exactly. I wouldn't say full time. I
Okay, yeah.
still have to run a startup too, but unfortunately,
yeah.
but that's what prompted me to invest in this. Exactly so. So Matt Firestone, a big influencer in the sales space, made a post about my cold email that kind of went
I think I have
viral.
seen that post. I think I have seen this post. It looks familiar to me.
Well, many people saw that post,
Yeah.
as it prompted 100 people or more to sign up with my startup.
And were they, sorry to interrupt you, so were they like the trial people or were they like the actual paid users?
They were free trials. I believe around 130 free trials in total,
Mm-hmm.
plus a few dozen demo calls that were booked as well.
Okay.
So you can imagine how much ROI that would have if you would invest in a channel like this.
Yeah.
That happening for free was a huge thing, especially as we had just launched our version 2.0. So when I saw this happen, it also was a perfect ad because it literally was a screenshot of the cold email with our product offering. Um, it made me think that, I mean, damn it, if a random post can do this much, what if I would create content myself on a weekly basis and essentially replicate the results? So at that point, I hadn't made a single LinkedIn post, but it was clear that I need to give this thing a shot. That was actually probably the hardest period in making this happen. Not having written a single LinkedIn post and having this objective of getting a lot of eyeballs on you on LinkedIn. So, what helped me tremendously in analyzing what content to create was the prolific index. Adam Robinson has shared this a lot as well. And that's the key framework that I use and still use actually to this day. I'll briefly describe what this means.
Yeah, sure. Because I've heard about it, but I've never drove deep into it.
So you can see it's a scale between crazy, prolific, and mainstream.
Yeah.
So what it means is that when you create content, you should be in the prolific zone. So what this achieves is that a you're not mainstream, right? So that people feel some kind of an emotion when they read your post. And the way I would best describe this, and I believe Adam Robinson has described this as well, is the ones who love what you're saying go to the comment section and say they agree with you, and the ones that hate your take, they will also let them opinion be heard. So either way, it generates engagement and essentially signals LinkedIn that this post needs to be shown to more and more people.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to be careful. If you would just be posting pure rage bait and obscure ideas, people think you're crazy. No one wants to engage with crazy stuff, especially on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
right? Because they're worried their employer might see this. So it's really finding that sweet spot in the content that makes people interested, want to read more, want to comment, want to have a discussion with you and others in the comment section. What it meant in my case, I mean, you introduced me as the LinkedIn comedian. Um, that was an analysis of where I would best shine in the go-to-market LinkedIn content space, and B, the second and important point, where there was a gap in the content ecosystem. Now, everyone knows and has seen go to market creators on LinkedIn that share playbooks, that speak about the future of GTM. Essentially, the feed is full of them. So it's really, really saturated to have a serious opinion about what sales and outbound should look like. So I didn't want to go competing there.
With these big guys who are sharing their opinions. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Exactly. So also being new in the space, right? I was a fresh founder in GTM. So what would be my natural advantage there? There wouldn't be one. So considering that plus a gap in the satire humor space, plus my personality, my friends probably are not that surprised by the content that I create. If you know me in person, I settled on the comedian archetype also because outbound sales gives you so many opportunities to also make fun of it. I was a salesperson myself in my previous corporate career. So I'm making fun of myself at the same time, not just laughing at the industry. And people seem to resonate with that, as the impressions have shown so far.
Have you ever utilized lead magnets in a standardized way of people sharing like, hey, AI agent coming down this word, which drives a lot of the engagement, but the quality of the traffic is questionable.
You know, I can't bash on league magnets in the performance perspective aspect, meaning that they can definitely drive inbound leads. They're
Mm-hmm.
super use case specific, but it really, I feel like you don't get the highest quality of leads that way. Especially with our product, where we usually tend to have more technical users, um, people that need guidance from a lead magnet probably are not the ones that are the best fit for us. The second part of it is kind of ethical, right? You're playing with the algorithm, not by offering value per se, but by essentially forcing people to comment out of FOMO.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. I do have a few follow up questions, and we do have a little game. Everyone who is watching live, we are going to be having Ammad joining us and giving us a walkthrough on the Claude skills for the outbound. So, like, subscribe, also comment down below if you have any questions to Hendrik, because we're going to have the little Q&A section at the end. So, Hendrik, so what's the plan to survive in the next 1, 2, 3 years in this space that a lot of go to market people, business owners are getting into? Are you planning to raise capital? Are you planning to hire from a cash flow? What's the play here?
I can share what we do personally and what I think about this space.
Sure.
I'll start from the last one since you asked it first.
Yeah.
I would say that, as in any space nowadays, the things that you can sustainably provide and have a shelf life of more than 2 years before being replaced by AI
Okay.
is just
Yeah.
getting is shrinking so fast. So a few things that are safe, in my opinion, are a that's underlying go-to-market infrastructure. That is email sequencer, for instance, LinkedIn sequencers, something you can't wipe code and is used at scale. Right. Second part, underlying go-to-market data, that is emails, contact data, profile data, essentially the space we're in at Younger as well,
Yeah.
right? Providing engagement data. And the third final fun are end-to-end workflows. So workflows that are complex enough that you can't really build out in a bigger enterprise. I think an awesome example of this is Gong, the call recording system. Um, it isn't super complex, but the way they integrate it into the enterprise, the value they give to the company, I don't think it's easy to replace, really.
That's the mode. Yeah, this is what I hear, the underlying data, and more companies evolve within the space, more and more data they have. Like, for example, you more and more signal based results you're going to get. So you're going to recommend the better signals, and it's just going to be a never ending flywheel until someone fucks up and the business goes to zero. So I guess, right?
Always can happen, especially something you think about as the founder.
Yeah. Look, right now we are gonna be playing a little game with you. Let me share my screen, and pretty sure you know this game. This is the S2D tier list, where you're gonna be ranking signals from S being the signal that everyone needs to use. If you don't use it, you're dumb. To the D, if you use this signal, you're gonna lose the money and your company. So let's make it fast and sharp. You ready?
Ready. So
Liked your post signal.
complex one, but I'll keep it short. Let's put it to the A tier. And I'll answer. We can actually do the second one to A tier as well. Commented on your post.
Commented to your post. So you rank them the same way.
Yes, and let me explain quickly. The reason why I don't run outbound on my own engagers, commenters, and likers is that just better connect with them on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
The reason is that then they'll stay following your content anyway. That speaks about my startup, my product, and my offering anyway. You don't need to spam them straight from the get-go. They already know who you are. They know what you do. Just keep them nurtured on LinkedIn.
Engaged with competitor.
S tier.
New job or role change. We will do the comments after we're done here.
I would put the new job role change to B tier.
Just raised funding.
B tier.
Hiring a relevant role.
A tier.
Visited your website.
A tier.
Okay, we have a lot of A's. Followed your company profile on LinkedIn.
C tier.
Posted about your topic.
I'll do A tier again.
Downloaded a lead magnet if you run the campaign.
Never had a lead magnet myself that's downloadable, so gotta put it to B tier.
What I do want to clarify is why did you put the engagement with a competitor over everything else?
The reason is that you can change your messaging there in a super cool way without mentioning that they engaged with a competitor. Let's take an example. Let's say you have an email sequencer that offers unlimited email senders, and someone engaged with a sequencer that prices per sender. You could outreach to them mentioning that you have unlimited senders on your tier. So I think you can just make the outreach perform really well based on that intent signal.
Great. Right now we are having the blitz, which is me shooting questions to you very fast and you reply either fast or expand on your answer. You ready?
Let's go.
Cold email or LinkedIn DMs?
LinkedIn DMs.
Best cold email subject line ever received?
Anything that's one word, no more.
Prompt injection in proposal, is it a good strategy or not?
On this show, I'll say that no, never do this.
Okay, read between the lines, I guess. Would you sell Jungler for $5 million tomorrow?
No.
AI comments on LinkedIn, do you think they should be allowed or banned?
Currently impossible to ban them.
Agreed, 100%. Do you believe in posting every day or once a week, but better quality?
Once per week, better quality. Ideally, every day, better quality.
Yeah, okay, got it. Warm leads or high volume?
Warm leads.
Best growth channel nobody is using right now?
Cold calling is really underrated.
Agreed. We've been talking about cold calling on the last show. Estonia or move to San Francisco?
Tallinn, Estonia is the tech hub of Europe. I'm staying here.
Would you ever give up the dream of becoming entrepreneur, close your agency, your company, as well as your personal LinkedIn in a way it is right now, in exchange of a role in Anthropic or OpenAI?
Definitely not.
Is it the money thing or is it something else?
I feel like I could maximize both money, independence, and impacting with more innovative stuff at my own company than anywhere else.
The last question that I ask every guest on the show: if you have unlimited budget and unlimited access to human capital for the next 30 days, so all of these resources, where would you allocate them? You cannot spend it on marketing nor media buying. So, would you build a feature within Jungler? Would you open another startup? Would you do something different?
I would use those resources for building the most ambitious ideas we have in Jungler's roadmap. And that would involve building a particular new B2B professional network, social media platform from scratch.
Just so that I am on the same page. So, you're talking about a better version of LinkedIn.
Perhaps, potentially.
Very good. So once you start, invite me. I'm gonna be the first beta user.
You'll be the first to know,
Awesome.
and I'll send you a connection request myself.
Sure, Henrik. Look, welcome. Sorry, welcome. Okay, I'm done. So thanks for coming in this show. Tell where people can find you.
Find me through jungler.ai, through the website. You can find the company page there. You can find me or on LinkedIn as well. Just find the company jungler.ai. Happy to chat with anyone. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, man. Appreciate your time. Take care.
Likewise. Thanks.
Cheers. Guys, so do not click off because right now we are going to be having another special guest with us. Let me see if he is joining, and he's going to be teaching all of us on how to better use Claude Code as well as the skills to run outbound campaigns at scale. One second, I don't want to take a break here so that you guys are with me. Let's see. Okay. Don't click off. By the way, post your questions, please. Like, subscribe. We are going live every day on this channel on the YouTube, LinkedIn, as well as X for you guys. Trying to connect Ammad. Awesome. I think we are good. Wait. 1 second. Yo, Ammad, can you hear us? Can you see us? 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
How are you doing?
Not bad. Just uh, kind of waiting to come in and yeah, just kind of showcase a few things. Why not? Yeah.
Awesome, great. Look, tell everyone what are you gonna be showing, and if you can share your screen right now, so I can make sure that the people can also see it.
I'll share the screen. I wanted to kind of get a kickstart before that, but let's share the screen. Why not? Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure. I think that something is.
can you see my screen now?
I do. Well, let me make sure that people can also see it. Screen. Yep. My Claude skills universe. Yeah. So tell us what you're going to be showing before that, and then we're going to go over it.
Yeah, amazing. So I wanted to put something together, kind of, a lot of
1 second.
people.
I'm not sorry. This
Yeah.
most. This is maybe on my side. Let me. Can you say something again, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Sorry. This is on my side. I was switching between the guests. Yeah. Go ahead.
I wanted to go into something, Eugene, which is a lot of people when they start using AI very kind of generically, they there is kind of this feeling that there is a barrier to entry. I want
Mm-hmm.
to show something really simplistic, right? That I use on a very regular basis to get work done, essentially, right? And that is my quad universe, So this is my quad skill universe. The universe of my quad skills that I use as a go-to-market engineer to essentially get campaigns up and running within no time. Campaigns that by and large perform, and I kind of layer that as like a multi-layer universe where whenever I'm working on a campaign with a client, and uh, I want to grab the context. There's a lot of context in the uh, you know
In the client
in,
company, about the products that he's having, about everything.
that's internal, exactly. That's
Yeah.
that's what I. If you look at this graphic over here, that's probably what would be encapsulated by the local context, right? So that's kind of the context which defines what they do and how they want to run their campaigns, right? And then you have the universal cold outbound context, which is best practices and where cold outbound is moving, essentially, right? Both in terms of copywriting and also in terms of list building as well. Um, I read somewhere you're an ex hockey player.
Yeah, I am. So I've been playing for my whole life before coming into the online, space. This is how I moved to the US with a dream to play in National Hockey League. I mean, didn't really work out, but that's fine.
There's a very famous quote by. So I live in Canada. There's a very famous quote by Wayne Gretzky, and
Let
he's
me
like,
guess. Let me guess. You need to know where the puck is. This one.
you need to know whether exactly, yeah, exactly,
So
absolutely, yeah."
quote it for the viewers.
I'll probably paraphrase. I don't want to screw up what Wayne Gretzky said, but it's like I don't look at where the puck is right now, but where it's going to be like 2 seconds later or something like that. Yeah. And really that's what the skills, like the universal skills, do for you as well, right? So you want to have context, obviously, about the internal context around like what the campaigns are and what your client wants to do. At the same time, you also want to have universal context around where the space is moving, right? uh, and I'll tie that in also with the second layer, which is always on, not just when I open a chat, right? So I don't want my skills to be stagnant. I want them to be ever learning, right? So uh, I, I, I want them to be automated, so they're always grabbing the best context out there, essentially, and bringing it back into my kind of universe and helping like kind of create these great campaigns,
Can
basically.
can we stop for a second? Sorry. So this is
Yeah.
getting confusing. So what you're essentially saying is we have the skills. The skills let our agents, our systems to operate, right? So there are different types of the skills. So one type of the skill is, hey, here is how you access instantly CLI. Here is how you make a request to query data from the CRM. Here is how you do the Google, like whatever, right? So these are technical skills. But the different spectrum of skills is the general skills that are like, oh, this is what is like working in the market right now. This is what is good campaigns are, and this is what go to market is, right? Like this is what the outbound campaign is. So is this what we're talking about, and all of this working together?
That's exactly what we're talking about. So we're talking about how skills grab the internal context, right? And they also are looking at the wider GTM space and grabbing the best practices from there, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, at
Yep.
the same time, what I would say is you want your skills. So my skill set is my GTM brain. And
Yeah.
I know it's an overtly used term, but I'm going to use it as well, right?
Okay.
It's my GTM brain,
Okay.
and my I want my GTM brain to be the best version of what I would want myself to be if I was Superman, right? So if I could do outbound as Superman, right?
Yeah.
I want my skills to be capable of doing that, right? So they're not static, right? They're always learning as well. And there are two dimensions in which they're learning. They're always, you know, you can switch on quad co-work and they're always learning on a Friday evening
Yeah.
and scraping the web and kind of grabbing context from LinkedIn posts, going to different kind of uh, uh, niches on the internet, and you can specify where they go. By the way, and they're grabbing all that value from there. At the same time, I think what is equally important is the feedback that I also give to them. So I already talk to my skills, and I don't mind even typing in something manually and telling them, hey, what you outputted right now is, you know, is pretty decent. Just like I talked to my son, by the way, my 4-year-old son, is pretty decent, but this is what is missing, and that's how the skill is learning as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great. So this is basically a feedback loop that you are going into.
It's a feedback. It's a so if you look at the pretty not so great graphic that I created. And I wanted to kind of visualize my universal skill sets into layers, right? So you have the context layer, and like you said, Eugene, you have the universal context and you have the campaign specific context, right? And then you have the automation and kind of consistent learning. And on top of that, at the very top is the feedback that these skills are getting from me in real time as well. Uh, Maybe not all the time, but when I communicate with them, I'll give my feedback around. Hey, you know what? I did not like this output. I think there's something missing over here. So go back and do this. And it is a feedback loop, but it's not just singular. It's kind of multi-layered, basically. Yeah, and that's how you build something that you can realistically call your GTM brain, essentially. Yeah.
Appreciate you sharing that. I have a few follow-up questions. First, when you are structuring up a campaign for a client, do you create skills that are specific to the client, or how do you keep the client context? Is it like in the thread? Is it separately in a doc? Like, how does that work? Because your universe is there, right? It's like, okay, you can create a campaign, but if you would only do it for yourself, this would be static, right? But you
Yeah.
get clients coming to you over and over that provide you additional context. So do you like create a folder with separate skills for the clients and then they talk together? Like how does this management works?
So when I first started using Quad, I would create separate skills for different clients, which is a really bad practice.
No,
You need
really?
skills that are capable of kind of scraping over a wide array of things, right? So uh, what I learned with the passage of time, and I'm not an expert in Claude, obviously, but with the passage of time, what I learned is you need to train your skills so they can capture that context not just for one client, but for your whole space of clients, essentially. Uh, and this might sound like a bit of a fad, basically. But the way you do that is, again, I might sound like a broken record over here, but the way this happens is when the skills are always learning. The skills is not the skill has context, but it's not contextual in a way that is specific to one kind of campaign or one kind of client. It is assembling all of that context over time. And uh, uh, I won't say plug and play into a new campaign. There are times when I got output through my skills universe in Claude that I did not like, and that's where my feedback also comes in. And my feedback would be, hey, this is not how I want this campaign to be like. I know where you're coming from. You want the copy to be like 25 words, which is how a lot of copies look like right now. But for this specific campaign, for this specific context, I want to have more meat in my copy. I want to say more.
Yep.
And that's also how the skill is learning over time and grasping a lot of the context, which sometimes you're not really familiar how it's doing that, but it does. Yeah.
I have prepared a three quick questions for you by the end. So, you ready to answer them?
I'll try my best. Yeah.
Claude Code or Codex?
Plot code for sure.
For sure. So, have you tested Codex and specifically chose Claude Code, or was it like, like everyone's using Claude Code, so let's do that?
So I'll go back to what I said earlier. I think quad code has kind of different layers. There can be a barrier to entry when it comes to more complex tasks, but there's also a way in for people who just want to come in and kind of just want to get their feet wet, so to say. And that's the reason why I would choose quad code. Yeah.
Best LLM model for day-to-day work from Claude.
I would say it's the latest Sonnet version. It does take away a lot of my daily kind of usage, but I would want to use it for every task. But yes, yeah.
Best subject line you have ever tested, received, or seen.
People are going to kill me for this.
Don't say
But
quick question, please. Don't say quick question.
I was going to say something similar, by the way. Yeah. Very similar, and again, please spare me for this, but I've seen a subject line where you reference the person's first name and go like, "For you." Yes, yeah. It works in a vast majority of cases. And again, like if you're asking me for a more generic kind of subject line,
Yeah.
that would work. I've seen more specific ones which are more contextual for particular campaigns that can work better. But this one is, um, and I can see why it works as well, by the way, because uh, a lot of the time, the way these uh, your spam filters operate is uh, they try to visualize if the message is coming from somebody internally within your company.
Mhm.
It can sound like that. It gives you a better kind of chance to land into an inbox. Yeah.
Ammad, look, I appreciate you coming on. You are the first guest for the tutorial section. That was great, and we'll speak with you soon.
Thanks, Eugene. Loved it, and we'll do it again soon. Yeah, hopefully with more kind of meat around what I'm saying. Yes.
We'll get this going. We'll get this going, man. Okay.
Yeah, man.
You take care.
Amazing. Thank you.
Peace. Awesome, guys. So that was Ammad. Look, like pretty value dense episode we here have, right? I hope you like this format. So it's a bit more than an hour, but dense, so you can rewatch it, save it, go back later today, tomorrow, ask questions. We are always present. Tomorrow we are again gonna be live at 12 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see you then. Take care. Peace.